What's up guys, I'm Philip Pilkington. I've got a Nikon Z6 and there's a feature that's really good and it's good for me and I know it's going to be good for you, and it's focus stacking, or as Nikon calls it, focus shift. But it's something that happens internally in the camera, and I'm going to show you how to set it up and why it's so good. So just keep watching and check out what I've done with it. In this video we're going to be talking about Nikon Z6 and its focus shift capability. So what the camera is going to do is, when you set it up, it's going to take a series of photos all at different focus points, and it's going to do it in steady increments, which means that you can import all those images into Photoshop and you can blend them together, and you get one, once you blend them all together, you get one image, but it's really sharp. It's sharper than what you can get on a normal camera setup, because if you do shoot on f/22 to get the front of the product, that I'm going to be photographing the product, so the front of the product is going to be in focus, the back of the product is going to be in focus, but it's going to be good quality, because f/22 is not good for that. It'll have it all in focus, but it won't be so sharp. And this way, to do the focus stack, you get the front of the product in focus, the back of the product in focus, and it's all sharp. It's a longer process than what a normal photographer might take, but it's the way to get the best quality, so you won't be disappointed. But once I've done the video of how to shoot it on the Nikon setup with focus shift ability, I'm also going to show you about how to retouch the image, or the way I would retouch the image. Everyone's got their own way. I'm going to show you my way, but it just helps get really premium results for that high-end advertising photography. But let's get straight into it now. So to start with, I'm just showing you my studio setup. The light is a Rotolight Anover Pro 2, and then this other one is just a fill-in light, which is like Elinchrom flash, but I'm just using the ambient light on it. So yeah, this is the camera. These are the setups that I've used to get access to the features of the focus shift. Yeah, it's pretty simple to use, to be fair, but it will take some practice, because this was like my third go in trying to get it right. Some of the mistakes that I made were the spacing wasn't right, so I experimented with 12 shots, experimented with 14 shots. I went with 14. I think potentially I could have done even more, because I'm shooting on f4. And the spacing, it could have been just a little bit more spacing on the shots, but yeah, you've got to have a little practice in order to be able to get it right. So yeah, this is once I've got the card connected to the computer, I'm just getting access to all my files. I've created a desktop folder just to put all the files in. So as you can see, there's 14 shots there. Yeah, so I'm just going to open Photoshop, and I'm going to show you the places where the blending option is. Oh well, yeah, sorry, not the blending option. The blending option second. This is just to get all the images into one stack. So you just find the location of where all your images are kept. Select them all. Press OK. So you're going to want to try and get Photoshop to align them all automatically, just because of the focal. When you're focusing, the focal length looks like it's moving as well. So you want to try and get it all as aligned nicely as possible. Let Photoshop do that for you. So now select all the stacked images and go into Auto Blend, and then just press OK and just let Photoshop do its thing. So as you can see, all the masks that it's created, it's just taking little bits from each shot and builds them up into one fully in focus image. So I've just flattened it now. But let's have a closer look to see what it's done. So as you can see, it's in focus at the top, and it's in focus in the middle and at the bottom, and it's just combined all those shots to make one sharp image. So yeah, it's looking all right there. Sometimes it's not perfect though, so once you do it, you need to go in close to have a look if Photoshop has left any areas slightly blurry. This is the first image that I did. This is the last image that I did, so it just shows you the focal difference. This is the fully retouched image, which I'll show you later on in the bonus content of how I retouched it. If you're interested, then watch the end of the video. Alright guys, I hope you liked the video. If you do like it, check out my other social channels. Check out my Instagram, which is Philip Pilkington. Check out my Facebook, which is also Philip Pilkington. And my website, if you can guess what that is, it's called philippilkington.com. But yeah, if you like it, leave a comment and give me the thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, do that. But I'm going to have more videos on Z6 and why it's good for everyone, including me, you, and anyone else. Thanks for watching. So yeah, I'm just going to talk through the retouch that I did. I usually start by looking at the levels because don't want any gaps in the. If it's too low, it means there's not much detail, and if it's nothing there, then you try and reduce the amount of detail in that area. Just up the saturation a bit. So I'm just duplicating it now, and then the top layer I'm desaturating it completely. Then I'm revealing it a little bit just so I can see where the colour actually is, because I don't want to make any mistakes. So on the mask that I've just created, I'm going to be painting away at the areas that are actually in colour, and I want to keep the colour. Now what this is doing is it's just making sure that the areas with no colour, so the blacks, the whites, the greys, actually have no colour in them, because potentially it looks black but it might have a colour cast to it. So this is just to make sure those monotone areas have got no colour in them at all. Now I've lowered the opacity on the desaturated area, but I will put it back up again in a bit. So yeah, now I'm just sort of doing a selection, because you can't trust the brush tool 100% of the time because you might leave gaps. So it's best to go around the edges with the brush tool, and then in the middle fill it with the selection, as I've just done. But this area is going to need a bit more fine tuning, because it's like a blurry edge to this sort of coloured area. So you just paint the bits that you want to be kept in colour. So yeah, I do quite a lot of this where I flick back and forth between the two layers, what I've just done and what the original was. I'm still looking for any gaps. If there's any little bits of colour that I've missed, it's going to look weird. So I'm just double checking, triple checking, just to make sure it's all going okay. So yeah, I'm all right with that. So I flattened it for now, only because it's only subtle change. So if I do any big changes, and if I think I might go back, I'll keep the layered PSD version. But in this case, I've just flattened it. But yeah, I saved this as a JPEG. I actually think for this, as long as there's not too many alterations, JPEG's okay. If you start to really manipulate the image, then the JPEG is not a good format because it's not good quality, so it'll start to break down. I'm just cropping the edges of the frame now, because when I've done the image stack, it doesn't line up all the edges, outside edges perfectly, which is fine. So you just do a little bit of a crop. So I've zoomed in to look for any little blemishes, any little bits of dirt on the card. So I'm using the spot heal tool to fix them. Sometimes I use the spot heal tool, sometimes I just use the heal tool. it does depend because it's not perfect all the time, but it is pretty good getting rid of just all the little bits. So I've speeded this up because it would be boring if I didn't speed it up, because it does take a long time to do all these little changes. Not very difficult to do. The spot heal tool, you just click on the area you don't like and it attempts to sort it out. So what I'm doing now is I've got my pen tool and I'm selecting an area where I think it's got reflection. It doesn't look very nice. So I'm just going to select an area, and then because the pen tool's good at making smooth curved lines, and once you have made the shape, if you cut it out, put it on another layer, and then I'm going to fill it with a colour that's very similar to what it already was, as you'll see in a minute. Actually, I'm just feathering the edge now because the pen tool's edge is very sharp, so you need to feather it a little bit to kind of make it look natural. Yeah, so I'm selecting my colours now to match to this area on the new layer. Then I'm going to add a graduation, trying to get it quite similar to what was underneath already, but it just looks neater, looks smoother. And add in a little bit of noise. This just helps blend it in a little bit. It also tends to make it look add a little bit of colour. So if you are dealing with black and white, I desaturate that layer again. Now I'm revealing the layer just a little bit, just to try and make it look as natural as possible. And now I'm going to blend that edge because that edge looks too harsh. So I'm just rubbing away at that edge just to blend it in. So it just looks like a smooth reflection now, rather than that bit ugly, harsh reflection before. So yeah, I've got another reflection here that needs to be sorted out. So basically, I do exactly the same thing. I'm just cutting out a shape that's going to go over that horrible reflection, and I'm adding a nice smooth reflection. So I've speeded this bit up, but it's, like I say, it's exactly the same, and I actually use this method quite a lot. This one does need a little bit more fine-tuning than the previous one on the black lid. There's an area in here I wanted to try and create a bit of an edge to the reflection to just help give the bottle a bit of shape. It's looking not bad at the moment. So when you zoom in, you start to see that it needs to be. I'm using the transform tool, then the shortcut to the warp. So as I'm revealing a little bit of that brightness from the underneath to create a bit of an edge. Yeah, there's lots and lots of little tricks to sort of fine tune. I'm going to be using transform tools in a minute to change the size of the layer that I've just made, because what I've got now looks a little bit too narrow. You see, I'm just revealing a bit too much. But it's good to have a play around, because if you've got a different shot, you need to play around these things as much as possible, just to explore all your options to find out what it is you actually want from this image. So it is already a highlight, but I'm now exploring the idea of trying to make the highlight pop a bit more, adding a bit more, because highlights usually the white, so I'm going to be adding white in here, and then I try and find a way of blending it in just to make it look a bit more realistic. But I'm adding this, and I don't think this is going to work so well. It's too narrow, that highlight. So I'll try again with that one, but making the highlight a lot more spread out and more graduated. So what I did was I just duplicated that layer that was already there that I made a while ago, and I just filled it with white, and now I'm just putting I put a layer mask on it, and I'm using the graduation tool. So I think this highlight is looking a lot better. Just need to reduce that opacity because it's a bit too harsh. So yeah, I like to flick that layer, the visibility of that layer on and off, just to see what I had before, to see what I've got now, and just to think about what possibilities could I do to keep on improving this. So I've flattened those two layers, duplicated those two layers. That's because one was white, one was blue colour. So I got the tones how I wanted, but then now I'm just trying to change the shape again. And the reason why I duplicated it again is so if I don't like the changes that I just made, I can just delete this layer and I would have kept the original. See, I just need a slight twist now to make it line up nicely. That's about right there. So as before, that's the change that I've just made. I've got that on separate layers. See, I've used the marker for the art history tool just as a marker to know where to go back to, so I can toggle back and forth to see my changes that I've made. Yeah, so I've got something near to what I want now, so I can delete that layer that I don't want, keep the one that I do want. So I keep saving regularly because you just never know, your computer could just crash. So again, I've saved the layered version, but now I've flattened it, just because I'm happy with what I've just done. So I'll keep moving forward now, but I have saved the previous version of it. So you can see this sort of slight light distortion in the bottle, just could be neater. So I'm using the same technique that I've just used just before. So select the area that looks a bit ugly with very similar colours, but a smooth transition between those colours. Use the layer mask to blend that bit of the fake bit you've just made. Just see a few more little bits that need tweaking. Oh, sorry, I'm using the heal tool now, I think. Yeah, heal tool, sorry. So yeah, when it's very subtle changes, I like to use the heal tool. So you select in one area. It's very much like the clone tool, but it blends what you do more so. So I've just duplicated a layer. Again, this is always to make changes and then I can go back if I need to. But if I like the changes that I've made, I may just flatten it and just keep what I've just done. So I've sped this up because if you were to just watch this without the speeding up, it would be so boring. You just watching someone correcting all the little mistakes is not very entertaining, but it is a necessity, and it'll make the shot look better in the long run. It's just a lot of attention to all the little bits of detail. So again, this little area here is the same thing that I've been doing before. Select an area, create a gradient, place it over the top, and try and blend it in. So this is pretty much what I do, guys, when I'm getting rid of little bits of reflections. This video carries on like this. I'll just let you watch till the end. But I am letting you into a lot of my little secret tips and tricks that, to be fair, no one's taught me how to do this. I've just found this out myself over like the past years. You know, I've spent a lot of time just playing around on Photoshop, and I don't even think that I've got the best way of doing things. I just know that my way works. You know, I think there's other people that have lots of fancier ways of doing retouching, ways that are more complex and may even save time. But for me, this is the way I've kind of learned to do it. You've got to find your own path, you know. But I'm not against, you know, learning more about Photoshop. I think I might actually do it in future. I might actually, because I've seen some quite good courses online of studying Photoshop, and because I am quite advanced, I'd go for the advanced courses. But yeah, I think I wouldn't mind improving my game if I can. All I know is there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing now. Yeah, I've been doing product photography for a long time, and this is my specialist area. So yeah, I hope you you enjoy this video, having all the insights into how I work. I will be doing more videos on the Nikon Z6 camera, and more videos on how I shoot and how I retouch. So yeah, just give me a like, give me a subscribe, give me comments on what you want to see more of, what you maybe if you want to see less of something, and I'll be happy to help and keep you guys entertained when it comes to learning about high-end photography and retouching. But yeah, thanks for watching.